Hello, and welcome to the second episode of MS Report. I'm Second Soundwave from Channel 2S.
How's it going, YouTube? Dan the Plastic Man here. I hope you guys are doing well. Looking forward to getting this conversation going. As you'll tell by the title, this is going to be kind of our overview of what we think of Iron Blooded Orphans, with a couple extra goodies tossed in.
And this is MaxDuo. You can probably call me the crazy podcast deleter because we actually recorded one last week, and I recorded only myself. So it's 2 hours of me mumbling.
Cue the fail.
Almost 3 hours, actually.
Exciting.
It was close to 3 hours.
Shouting
All
about
off.
Lock On.
Yes, shouting about Lock On, shouting about the High New Gundam.
Most animated
we're-
conversation we ever had, and we couldn't get it.
Yep.
Basically,
And now we're
yeah.
recording in a whole new method.
Yep, and maybe this time it'll work.
Yep. The old one apparently is broken, maybe forever.
Just watch out for internet icebergs, because we are on a maiden voyage.
Yep. Fortunately, we're unsinkable.
Nothing is unsinkable.
Yep, and I've probably cursed us all by saying that.
You probably have.
My house is
Congratulations.
on fire.
Lovely.
So yes, whoever wants to lead off second, so you kind of came up with the order. I say you've got the ball. Let's get it going.
So today, in this episode of MS Report, we're going to be talking about our thoughts on Mobile Suit Gundam Iron Blooded Orphans. Now, the reason we chose this topic for this week's episode is because for the first time in at least a decade, we are getting a Gundam series on TV in America, on Toonami. It's starting this Saturday at midnight, so absolutely go check that out. It's an awesome show, and we're going to talk about why it's an awesome show, or maybe why some of us don't like it. We'll see how this goes.
And to add on to that, we are going to do everything we can to keep this as spoiler-free as possible.
So starting off, just as far as the show looks visually, I thought the animation was really good. The fight scenes are super fluid, especially in the early episodes. There's a lot of like tank versus mobile suit combat, and there's some really well choreographed fights. And just the animation in general looks really good. The character designs kind of decrease in quality if they're like background characters that are like kind of far away in a scene. But for the most part, the animation's great.
To be fair, though, that thing about the background characters is just kind of an issue anime seems like it's had forever and always, and I don't know if Japan actually cares to fix that.
True. It's just that's like the one thing that when you see people giving it grief to the animation, it'll be like, oh, when you zoom in on that guy over there in the corner, he doesn't have a face.
Yeah,
But
he has
like
eyes
that's the only criticism I've seen for the animation as far as I've come across on the internet, at least.
I will say, like, I've never been a big fan of all the character designs, and I know I've heard this from a few others as well. A few of them are just like a little too anime for how Gundam usually is. Like usually, the Gundam guys are a little more grounded and somewhat realistic regular people ways, but there's a lot of hair dye and hair sticking around in weird ways. Like
Speaking of that,
every scene I see Orga, I get really annoyed by that stupid giant chunk of hair in front of his face.
Speaking of hair, I just noticed today when I saw pictures of the figurized bust of Mikazuki, his front hairdo, like, there's kind of like one lock that kind of goes down and another that goes up, and they actually form a crescent moon. Get it?
Interesting. Yep. So, speaking of like those busts, the first thing I looked at on Orga was straight to the hair, and it's like, yep, this is even more proof about how bad that design is, because that chunk of hair in the front is like 3 times the size of the rest of like his hair strands, it seems.
I really wasn't that bothered by it. I mean, I was more bothered personally by Trello's hair and Gundam Wing and how it just kind of hung in front of his face,
Yeah.
Like, I've seen really distracting anime hairstyles, and I honestly wouldn't consider Orga's hair to be on that list.
I mean, I'd be perfectly fine with it if they just got rid of that strange chunk in the front, because they always draw like a lot of angles and stuff in it and everything. But I mean, then everything I always kind of think about it is like these are basically worthless child soldiers and whatnot that are
They have rather stylish hair.
Yeah. It's like what military is like, these guys are garbage. Now let's go buy them hundreds of dollars of hair dye.
Yes.
Got like multicolored hair and stuff.
Hundreds of dollars worth of product.
Yep. And then we've got Akihiro, it looks like he's just guts from Berserk.
Basically, yeah. And then Cordelia's hair is rather poofy. Like, lengthwise, it looks fairly realistic, but like it's like as thick around as she is practically. especially when she has it tied back in a ponytail.
I guess at least for like most of the series, she is in low gravity situations, so maybe it semi makes a little sense.
Yeah, but still, when she goes to Earth, it's still like really poofy.
Yeah.
Not as bad as
Mars
that.
dust. Yeah, I do want to say, like, especially with the animation, like, I really love the I don't remember how it's pronounced. Yeah, Alena Vina system.
The Ajavalia system, I think it was.
I don't know. I've often just called it an AV system for easiness.
Yeah, sure. Let's go with that.
Into AV.
But,
That's what.
yeah, but it makes them like so agile and everything. So I really like seeing that in the at least like for Barbatos. The fact that they use their big shell weaponry and stuff instead of beam sabers, like even that just looks
that is
really
a nice
well.
touch. Is that there's pretty much no beam weaponry in IBO. It's all actual physical round firing guns and a lot of melee weapons. Like everyone has some kind of giant medieval death weapon, and it makes the fight scenes a lot more interesting than just point and shoot at the other guy. It gives it a little more of a kind of dynamic feel.
Yeah, I do also feel like the mobile suits, when they draw them and the sound effects they use, everything goes together really well for when they fire their big shell-based weaponry and everything. Because I just, you can watch Barbatos shooting its smoothbore rifle, and it's just like, man, that sounds and looks really good. He's not hitting a thing, but it looks great.
Yeah.
And the fact that, everything is either physical or shell-based, I think it makes the fights far more personal. Because
But they just do like a great job of putting those fights together too.
Yeah.
Just emphasizing everything they have.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on animation? I guess you didn't really get to say a whole ton, Dan.
Well, I figured I'd let you guys do a little bit of talking, and I just add on what I could, because I just really, as I was watching the show, I was completely blown away by how good it was for what I'm going to call a serious Gundam show, because the last time we got an attempt at that was both Age and Recco. I'm not going to count RE0096 because that's just Unicorn broken up into 22-minute segments. Everything
and
else
that came after IBO anyways, so it
Yeah.
wouldn't really count.
But at the same time, the only other thing we've gotten has been Build Fighters and Build Fighters Try, which I love, but it is a very, very light swing for a Gundam show. It's as light as G. But as far as the original formula, which was supposed to be a gritty...
War drama, basically.
Yeah, this, of the last three offerings that we've gotten, being Age, Recco, and then this, there is absolutely no contest.
Not really, no.
And it's
So,
also
what was
weird,
our
like, I mentioned it before the call, but I guess I'll mention again real quick. Like, the other weird thing is we haven't had anything that was quite as good looking ever since 00. Like Age,
Not really, no.
like we said, Age had kind of the kitty designs, but it was real crisp. And G-Reco kept like the kind of kitty-looking designs and went back to like a quality that looked like it was from 15 years ago. But IBO just like went really hard on everything.
I wouldn't even say 15 years ago. Like, Turn A, I think, looked better than G-Reco did, quite frankly.
Yeah, I was just picking a random thing. I was like, it can't be 10. It's got to be more than that.
In fact, I'd almost want to say that X looked better because while it was maybe not quite as modern animation, at least like the lines were clean. It didn't look like it was just kind of sketched over. Like every line in that show is like super messy.
Yeah, and it didn't quite have the cartoony look that like Age and Recco had.
Yeah.
X is a beautiful series, though. Gundam X is just...
It is, yeah. Like, again, that's like, what, 96? And that's 20 years ago.
Max?
Yep.
Was it 96 or was that 94 or 93?
It was 96.
No, it was
94 was
later
G, 93 was Victory.
Yeah, 95 was Wing, and then GX came after.
And then 8th MS Team was the same year as X, and then Endless Waltz was 97, and then we got Nothing Till 99, which was Turn A. And I'm going to stop myself right now before I rattle them all off.
Please.
And I had these VHS copies of X at the time, and like even though those were like recorded and re-recorded to like for distribution, like they looked, despite the VHS crappiness, still looked really good, which I guess is another testament to how good it was.
Yeah.
And then when I saw like the actual DVDs, it's like, oh my god, this show looks amazing. Wing looks terrible next to it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like Wing's animation, I didn't dislike it when I saw it, but compared to what came before and after, it is pretty bad.
I couldn't believe that 8th MS Team came from right around the same time.
I know, it looks like it was made like 5 years ago, maybe.
It's been very, very crisp. But let's go. I want to go ahead and keep us from running too much on a tangent. The next subject is going to be characters, and wow, that's the way the characters interact and work in this show, I've got to say that's another one of my favorite elements. Usually, in your typical Gundam trope, you're going to have, angsty teens who are piloting the lead mobile suit, and the adults are having to guide them and coddle them a little bit. But here, because mercenary team of, even though they're children soldiers, they're still a mercenary team of soldiers. The camaraderie's there, and you actually feel it. At least I did from episode 1 on.
Well, I wanted to say,
definitely.
Speaking of anime tropes, I really like the character that Mika plays because he's really unlike most other main characters we've had before, especially for any.
He's kind of an archetype we've gotten. I mean, I kind of put him in the same category as Hiro and Setsuna.
Well, Hiro was just like a really dedicated soldier, and Setsuno was just
Mika.
Really dedicated to this thing. But I kind of view
Mika is
honestly more like
Mika. Yes, Mika is like the best version of that archetype that we've gotten, I think.
Well, no, I wanted to say the way that I see Mika is he's almost like a sociopath. Like he does not.
Definitely.
Like he really cares about his friends, his comrades, and he doesn't care what's right or wrong as long as he's serving them. Like, a lot of times in Gundam, you've either got like, I'm just like a cold soldier guy, but I'm still okay, or you've got like here's just like a kid that ran across the Gundam and he's instantly an ace, and Mika's just like, what? I have to shoot a man in the head. Cool, I'm gonna do that. I'll help my friends.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't seem to care right from wrong. Only his friends, basically.
And also, I think I need to commend the writers for Cordelia because she is basically what Relina should have been, pretty much.
I'll give it that. Cordelia is a very strong female character, but she is not the peace psycho that Relina was.
Yeah.
I do want to say I did have one slight complaint about Cordelia, and I might have had others if I think about it longer, but this isn't exactly her character, but the way they kind of did things was occasionally she would get things done through talking and everything, and Mika and the others would be like, oh my god, she did it with speaking, this is the most amazing thing, and like they just kind of kept hammering that in. It's like, okay, I kind of got it, you don't have to keep reminding me.
Well, to be fair, they were kind of, illiterate soldiers, so they might not have ever really struck their mind to like diplomatically talk with someone about something. So I can kind of see that being the case for the first couple times.
Yeah, it just seemed like they kind of thought about it for really long sometimes, more than I would have expected.
Yeah. And so the other characters, I guess, that would kind of fill out the main roster were Orga, who, quite frankly, I felt was more of the main character than Mika was. Or like he had more characterization to him, at least.
Yeah.
And it was kind of, there was a lot of it was focused on like his kind of struggle to like kind of keep Tekkanon together and have the responsibility of leading the team or whatever.
Yeah. And to be the big brother.
Yeah.
But it was interesting because, like you say, like he had a struggle of that, but like things always worked out really well. And when something goes wrong later on, which I'm of course not going to mention, you can tell he's actually not used to having things go wrong for him. So I think early on he was very reinforced by constant success. And one failure kind of shook him really hard until he kind of got pushed back into place.
Yeah, because
which kept him more realistic too.
Yeah, because you can only get lucky so many times.
Right, and he gets lucky a lot.
Mm-hmm. I know one that Dan probably wants to talk about, or at least like many times he's kind of talked about really liking McGillis. I did send him like a long write-up I thought of when I was bored at work one day and decided to not do my job for like 5 minutes. But he always kind of said he always says he really was interested in McGillis, saying he got kind of like a Trey's, Kushinaga, and Zek's kind of feeling from him.
I think once you get to later on the show, you realize he is pretty much pure Char. Of all the Char clones we've gotten, he feels like the most Char-like to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I do think like one thing that kind of especially made him separate from like how he was sort of like super noble like Trey's early on. Like I think he probably does have Trey's like love of war and people being dangerously in war, but Trey's was always kind of like so unattached to his emotions, where he got like upset about Lady Yun being hurt. He's like, oh no, what is this? I'm sad. I don't understand. And like later on, we have McGillis. He's just like, yeah, I'm really mad. I'm always angry. It's like, oh, no, he knows he has emotions. Maybe only one, but...
And then I guess out of the main cast, pretty much the only other one I could think of off the top of my head was Biscuit, who I actually thought was handled pretty well too, other than naming him the Fat Kid Biscuit, which was kind of mean, but...
We did also have baby sisters that were named Cookie and Cracker.
I died almost every time they said his name. I was like, why? Why did they give him this name?
Yeah.
And then, Cookie and Cracker, his sisters. What?
Yep.
I mean, even though it's a very serious story, you've got to have some way.
Maybe their mother was a baker.
You got to have some way to keep it light, and I guess that's what they decided to do.
Yep.
They did try to make it light a few times with Mika, and like one of my absolute favorite things is he gives McGillis a really stupid nickname, and he just calls him that throughout the entire series.
Chocolate Man.
Right.
Chocolate Man, or just plain Chocolate. But I kind of hated the name he gave Galio, where he was just like, Gali Gali? It's like, where's this? This isn't him having trouble saying the name, this is just him being weird.
Yeah.
He's never weird like that at any other time.
It might actually feed a little bit into that sociopathic mentality that you were talking about, how he just doesn't care.
Yeah.
Though I did like one time when he was, I don't know why this came to my mind, speaking of him doing weird things, one thing I always thought was hilarious is when he was studying reading, and they tell him something, he's like, oh, it's not like a tunnel. They're like, what? And he's just looking at a book, and it shows you how to spell tunnel, and it has a drawing of a tunnel, and he's like, tunnel.
So what's next on the list? Let me take a look here.
The story.
Oh, man.
I got really excited when the series first came out because I saw them on Mars, and I've long complained that I want them to leave the Earth sphere and like not just be like, here's stars everywhere, we're somewhere else, but like actually be on another planet, even if they were only on Mars for like 2 days.
I think they were kind of on Mars long enough to like satisfy my urge to see them somewhere other than Earth.
Possibly. They did spend like the next 12 episodes just kind of in deep space. Like they did actually go to Jupiter, but it was just like, hey, we're near Jupiter and there's just stars everywhere.
Yeah.
I did like they went to that one like junk battlefield where there was like fog and smoke and trash everywhere. I loved that.
Yeah, that was pretty cool, yeah.
I was really sad that they only really spent like one episode there. I love these really like different areas, and I was hoping that we would get more of them.
Yeah. But I mean, we did get colonies, we get Earth. We get Mars. I mean, there's a pretty good spread of different places they go.
Yeah, since usually it's just kind of colony Earth, and then the series ends.
Right.
Like Max, I really liked the asteroid combat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I do know one thing I really liked in it as well. We don't get this super often in Gundam. I mean, we kind of do, but in some senses, when I was thinking about it, it vaguely reminded me a little bit of Turna in this sense. We never really had a giant war breakout in Season 1. I mean, there's just small skirmishes here and there. There's like really only 2 actual huge combat things, and even then they're still kind of smallish ones.
In the in the whole sort of big picture of what's going on in this particular Gundam universe, the post-disaster timeline, they aren't particularly significant wars, no.
Yeah. But I thought that was interesting, at least we get to kind of, tease around a little bit. Like, I was kind of telling Dan early on, like, there's no beam weapons, but I bet by the end of the season we'll probably have beam weapons and giant combat since Bandai seems to always ramp up really high. But they didn't seem like they ever did that, and I kind of feel like now they probably won't do it at all with the whole series, which isn't a complaint.
We'll get into that later.
Yeah. So, next topic, the mobile suits.
I really like the mobile suit designs for this. The Gundam designs are pretty good. I really like the Gujion just because it doesn't even look really anything like a Gundam. It's just kind of a cool design that they used for 2 whole episodes.
Yeah, IBO is actually part of what got me back into Gunpla.
Right.
Because, like, I had been kind of, like, looking at it for a few years and hadn't quite got back into it, and then I saw, like, the Barbatos, and I was like, oh my god, this doesn't look like any other Gundams. I mean, it still has kind of the color scheme and like hints of the old stuff, but everything in it is pretty different.
See,
I know for some people that hate it, they're kind of might groan at this, but it I guess it is kind of similar in some ways to G-Reco. I saw a few people mention that, except not quite as rounded.
Honestly,
I like a lot of the very different designs, the really gritty, exposed frames.
Right. What it really reminded me of was the Red Frame Astray, because it's like kind of like junk parted together, and it's got like only half armor, and it's got like a melee weaponry instead of beam weaponry, and it really reminded me of the Astray, personally, when I first like saw it in action.
Yeah.
I can get behind that logic, especially with the way the frame is designed and how really organic. I feel like those suits are trying to go.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I do like this, like a lot of the suit designs. Max and I have talked about this, where I really, really love the show and the mobile suit designs, but for some odd reason, when I've done the kit reviews, it's just been some of the times it's been lackluster. The biggest offender is going to be that 1/100 scale Goujon and Goujon rebake.
And I'm staring at my 1/100th Grimgird right now and just like, man, this thing looks really good. It's only halfway done, but I really like it so far.
And
I'm probably going to grab one of those at some point, yeah.
I'm looking over here as my Chimaris is waiting for me to start doing the videos on it. I think I've had, especially after I did the RE Ifrit, I think I've had enough non-IBO to get back into the 1/100s. Now it's just, do I do
Rebake
the
Escape?
Do I do Barbatos 6?
Get the Rebake Escape.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I had one other thing. I kind of thought about this for story, but I thought maybe I'd save it for MS. I remember one of the first things I saw when they announced IBO. I was reading about the Barbatos because, oh, hey, this really weird different Gundam here. They were saying, like, oh, in this series, it's, this one company, and they have one Gundam, and it gets stronger, and it collects, the weapons of others, and I got real worried early on. I was like, please don't let this be like a weird Mega Man thing. I just want it to be a more grounded one. And then, thankfully, it just turned out like, yeah, he just took a gun from this guy and put on shoulders from that guy.
Full-on battlefield modifications.
Yeah. I do like that it's not just the same outfit for every battle, like, okay, we need to improve this or that, make it better for Earth by doing this, and etc.
Right, and one mobile suit I'm going to just particularly mention here, because I liked seeing it fight a lot, was the Hyakuri. I really enjoyed that, especially in that first time she fights the Barbatos in it, and she's, like, using the grappling hook or whatever to, like, grab onto him. They're, like, swinging through the asteroid ship. I just thought that was a really cool action sequence.
Yeah, I did not think that thing was going to be as effective as it was.
Yeah, and it really made me irritated that the high grade doesn't come with the winch line or whatever.
Yeah. That is one other thing I had wrote down that I forgot. Speaking of the Hyakuri, I guess this kind of fits in with the story and the MS. If I do have a complaint, it's kind of about the pacing of the show sometimes. Not that it's horrible, but I said to Dan a lot of the times it was like episode A was hang out in space, episode B was fight, episode A was hang out in space, episode B was fight. And while not a terrible thing, my problem with that was a lot of the times they would introduce like a villain or a new bad guy or something like Vagushin, and they would do something for one episode and then maybe be done in the next episode. Like it kind of rushed through certain villains. Like we got plenty of like fleshing out for a lot of Tekadon's members and their allies, but like a lot of the enemies, if they weren't like amongst the main three, it was just kind of like, here's a new guy, now the new guy's defeated. Right. It made me think of the Hyakuri because I kept complaining Hyakurin has a like shocking punch fist thing, and we never saw that. The Chimaris had like a fold-out knife. We never saw that. We mentioned on a MS Report episode 1 that the 1/100th Chimaris had like those chest machine cannons. You don't see those in the show. It's got like a landmine laying thing in the back of the trooper. So
and like it did seem like they kind of didn't use every single weapon they had planned for it.
Yeah, most of the time it was just equip the machine gun and go.
And one thing I also noticed was that you almost never see the Hyakurin that isn't Amida's fighting, like, ever.
Yeah.
Like, it's maybe, I can remember maybe 1 or 2 scenes where you actually even see it out of the hangar.
Yeah, Laughter's the blue one.
Ozzy. Laughter was the Hyakuri pilot.
Oh yeah, Ozzy.
But yeah, the red one was just the custom, and yet for some reason... Speaking of, I did like the Roe that they put out later on. I'm still kind of wondering if we're just not going to ever get a model of that.
I'm going to be so bummed if we don't get a model of that one, because I really like that design, honestly, more than the normal Hyakuri.
Yeah, they've been crazy about releasing every single thing they possibly can as a high grade, and that one's been strangely absent. And I've mentioned this to Dan a few times. I could swear, like 3-4 months ago, there was a like a silhouette, like, oh, what's this high grade that's coming out? And I thought it was the Roe, but nothing ever came from that. So
it might have been like a silhouette for like the Astaroth or the new Mystery MS, and the reason I'm saying that is some of those silhouettes have actually ended up looking very different from the final mobile suit. Like,
could be.
Do you remember the original silhouette they showed for the Goujon Rebake? and like
vaguely.
they showed art for it, and it was actually the parts were still green, and like it looked like a Barbatos with a bunch of random Goujion parts latched onto it. It was like totally different from the final design.
Yeah, I think that was just kind of conjecture.
They actually showed that.
I just remember seeing that as like the stand-in image for it and being kind of confused when that never came to be.
Yeah, it was kind of funny because like when that image first came out, we hadn't even seen the Goujion like on the show yet, and I was talking to Dan, and I was like, man, it sucks that we haven't even seen it on the show, and we already know that apparently Mika destroys it and takes this armor, and then it turned out not to be that at all.
Yep. Although it
looked nothing like that.
Not at all, no.
Which just reminds me of a Goujion remake. I really love the different thing of that for having its extra 2 arms.
Yeah, I can't think of a lot of other mobile suits that have like a full-on second set of arms.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like Thunderbolt, they have like the little armature things, but I can't think of another mobile suit that has like actual additional like full-on arms with full manipulators and whatnot.
Did the O kind of have that, or am I remembering?
The O, Nightingale, they're going to have things like sub-arms. They're not going to have full-blown secondary set of arms.
Oh, wait, CeraVe had extra arms.
I think those were sub-arms. Well, no, I guess they were. Weren't they like the arms from the Seraphim or something that would like come out from the hips? Yeah, so I guess the CeraVe did have 4 arms.
I feel like I saw one other thing that had them recently, and I can't remember what in the world it was. Oh no, wait, I don't think it had
Gundam the End. Gundam the End had 4 arms.
I think didn't like the Crossbone Mao have a extra arm for holding?
Those were sub arms.
Okay,
those were sub arms.
Crappy ones. All right.
But yeah, the End has 4 arms, and the other one we just mentioned that I can't remember right now had 4 arms, and then the Goujion remake, and that's about it.
So that was really interesting to see, and of course it took like 5 episodes to use them. I got real worried we were never going to see them.
Right.
And according to the list, after we talk about the suits, final opinion.
I liked it. I liked it a lot. Go watch it, basically, is what I'm saying. Good show.
I'm very overall positive to it.
I'm saying the exact same thing. This show needs to be watched. If this sparks a new Gunpla revive in the States, I can only imagine what that would do as far as those of us who have been in the hobby for many years. Because look at what happened when Wing came over. We got such an influx of Gunpla and Gundam-related merchandise, games, other shows. We're starting to get some of those back, but if we get a legit, fully dubbed, popular show on Toonami again, could lightning strike twice? I hope so.
Yeah, and I would say overall for me, like I said, I am very positive. Like I have a large number of like minor gripes, nothing that actually detracts from the show, but things that I always saw and was kind of like, just wish this was a little different or that was a little better, but nothing actually makes it bad in my mind. It might turn some people away, like if they can't stand, the anime hair a bit, but I mean nothing like that actually makes it a bad show.
One thing I'm going to say, and this more pertains to it being released on Toonami, is seeing as we kind of live in the age of the internet now, I'm not sure being on Toonami is as big a thing because, like, in, like, 1999 or 2000, there wasn't a whole lot of ways, if any at all, that you could watch, like, anime online, so all you really had to choose from was, whatever was on TV in your home country. But now, we've got Netflix, we've got Crunchyroll, there's lots of ways for people to watch stuff online, and I'm not necessarily sure that Toonami has quite as big a following as it used to.
Well, it does help out for people who don't want to watch subtitled though, because I mean there's still plenty of people that hate watching subtitled stuff. Like I've got a few friends that they don't want to do it. Like they just don't care. They're like I'd rather listen to it. I can't stand reading. And like some people just can't snap through the text as fast as like some of us can. Like I've always been a big speed reader, so I barely even notice. But there's definitely people that have trouble,
sure.
So it can hopefully, I guess, get those people a bit.
Yeah, and one thing that I was thinking, I could kind of see Gundam Thunderbolt getting a Netflix exclusive English dub, kind of like they did with Knights of Sidonia. I could kind of see that happening. Maybe not right now, but maybe after things turn out to be a bit more popular,
Maybe. I mean, I guess they might also, like, in a sense, be waiting for more Thunderbolt to happen because, like, the manga is coming out incredibly slow. And,
right.
Like, I think the entire reason they only did 4 episodes is they're waiting for the manga to get further before they do anything else.
Yeah.
I actually did think of one other thing that bugged me in the show, and it's just a kind of anime trope in general. I think in general it's a really bad Gundam trope. It pertains to like one of the main kind of antagonist characters of it. The thing where you're basically in war, you're in big battle, and you're fighting to the death. You're trying to kill people, and we have characters where like a friend of theirs or someone they look up to gets killed in battle, and they hold a personal vendetta about it. Like they treat it as though like this was specifically done to hurt them or to be mean or something. That someone killed in self-defense was actually, someone trying to be cruel or whatever.
Right.
And, like it does kind of always bug me when characters will latch onto that for forever. But a lot of the times in Gundam, it's not been for entire series, and for this it kind of was.
It was like there's a character that kind of holds on to a grudge like that from pretty much episode 1 to episode 25.
They did do one really good thing with that, though, and there could be other reasons that caused this, but in the very ending, his grudge, his hatred, his big desire for revenge and everything, he did kind of crack from that, and I think that's like one of the few things that kind of saved me on that, because you can't just be that like unrealistically hateful over something so common sense for that long without, I guess, it kind of doing something to you, and he just eventually kind of got broken by it.
That definitely takes care of IBO. So we had a question.
Should we move on to yes? Okay, go ahead.
Q&A.
We actually had a question come in when we did our very first MS Report episode, and that question was, what do we think is going to happen in IBO Season 2? So I will bring that forward now. Anybody got any ideas?
What I think we might see is I have a strong feeling that we will see beam weapons at some point in this show. Even if every mobile suit in Season 2 doesn't have, a beam saber or whatever, I guarantee you that some point near the end, Gallarhorn is just going to have, maybe some kind of, ship with, a colony-destroying beam cannon or some kind of, heavy weapon that is beam-based, and it's going to be like, oh, there's this new technology no one has ever seen here before. How are we going to take this down? I think there's probably going to be a moment like that at some point in this series.
I could see it being a rare thing, but I no longer believe that it'll become an almost common thing.
Right. I'm also thinking probably I have a slight suspicion that due to the fact that this is a little grittier of a Gundam series, we're probably going to see one of the two side MS pilots die at some point in Season 2. I kind of have a feeling that might happen. Like Akihiro or whatever his name is in the Grace Custom 2.
Shino?
Yeah, Shino.
Super happy guy. He paints the grays red and gives it an eye and a stupid name.
Yep, smiley face.
Here's something
one thing I put down was obviously, of course, we're going to go back to Mars, so I'm happy about that. I mean, even if it is a brief thing, but...
The question is, though, how can we even be sure that IBO Season 2 won't be about a completely new set of characters?
I kind of doubt it will be.
I don't think so. I mean, even the only other series I can think of, other than Build Fighters Try, which was, well, I guess, we did have Build Fighters Try, but with 00, it was the same cast, just in a moderately different environment, kind of. And I think we'll probably see something closer to that, as opposed to the Build Fighters Try thing, where they just completely change out the whole cast.
I'd say even then, I can't imagine they'll jump, really far ahead. I mean, I
Not
assume
really.
Their business is going to be going further and everything, but it's not going to be like 00, because at 00's ending, they kind of defeated a current problem, but a bigger one was starting, and so we got to have here it is 2 years later, and things have changed a huge amount. Season 1 of this is just kind of hey, they got to a certain point, and changes are going to happen, but it's not world is going to be horrifyingly rocked and changed just yet. I do think there's going to be big changes to everything. If you one thing in this series was it was never a big thing of big giant militaries, because Gallarhorn was pretty much the only one, but it was a lot of small businesses controlling things and influencing stuff behind the scenes, and I think we'll probably see Season 2 kind of shift into a lot of those guys are going to be kind of trivialized and bigger things will start happening.
Yeah.
And we'll find out what McGillis is so angry about.
Yes. Although,
very true.
I guess they didn't really bring that up in the first season too much, did they?
No, it was just literally at the ending. He was like, I'm so angry all the time, and that was about the only thing said about it.
I guess.
He never seemed angry throughout the whole thing. He just says
he actually seemed pretty calm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also kind of don't think we'll switch cast as well because, I mean, I do think that they're kind of trying to make IBO a bigger universe because we've already got like a little side manga coming out, and I mean they've left a lot of room because there's supposed to be I think like 8 or 10 Valkyrie frames. There's 72 Gundam frames, so I mean we've got plenty of time to reveal things and like oh hey we found this and all that.
One
So
thing
I
I'm
feel
going
like
to
it'll
say,
probably just be the same one, maybe like a year in the future, and
that's what I was thinking, is I'm kind of partially wondering if they're going to stick with the Barbatos and they're going to just give it like a 7th form or whatever, or if we're going to get a whole new Gundam.
I'm expecting it'll get a 7th form, maybe an 8th form, and after that is when it would get replaced by something else.
Right, they're probably going to switch it out mid-season, kind of like they did with the Double Zeta Gundam or whatever.
That or it could be just hugely upgraded.
Yeah,
so it no longer
completely
even looks like
overhauled.
Barbatos.
The other thing I was going to, more or less pertaining to this, you guys keep going, I'll try to think of it.
So I guess, speaking of the other series, we did get some more images of other models, and I really like the red, whatever that's coming to the, the side manga.
I remember it now. What I was going to say is that seeing as there's 72 Gundam frames, I would be, unless the show ends up being crazy popular and gets like 4 seasons, I would be really surprised if we ever get actual appearances by all 72.
Oh yeah, I kind of doubt it. I'm assuming that they're really hoping they can, though.
Like, we might get maybe 20 at most from the manga, but that's the most I could really see them doing.
Yeah, it could just be something they're strongly hoping for.
Right. Like, or at the most, they'll maybe probably just get, like, names and nothing else, like how, like, with, like, the RX-78, there's, the prototype Gundam and the G3, and then there's the G4 and the G5, and then 6 and 7 are kind of a little more than line art and a name, basically.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, if you look at like a lot of the other things, there's a lot of like, here's this whatever Gundam, and it's just from like an MS variant magazine. They could very easily just be like, oh, here's Gundam #1 from the IBO universe, and it could never be in anything but like a magazine of designs.
Right, MSV. That's basically what it is. Although a lot of MSV designs, at least in the Universal Century, do kind of get picked up and used in later mangas, so
but it doesn't
it's
have
never
to
completely
start
out of the question.
That. Yeah.
Right. No, it doesn't.
I do like though in the manga they've got this weird thing of everybody just has giant stuff. We got the awesomely named demolition knife, which is just a giant freaking stick. Then that red one has I guess actually its weapons are kind of small, but it looks like it's supposed to have like a giant greatsword. But I guess that's just like its weapon rack.
Yeah.
And it looks more, in one picture of the kid, it almost looks like a hammer.
And my favorite thing about it is it looks like it might transform, but it turns into a backwards-looking plane.
It's going to be, it looks like kind of a half transformation, kind of like the Hyakuri had, where it's got like a flight mode. So you're supposed to
puts his arms back.
Yes, you sort of like flip the shoulder things out, and you flip up like a tail fin, and it can kind of fly around, and I think it looks pretty awesome. Like, I'm definitely probably going to grab that when it comes out. I'm definitely liking more than the Astroth.
Well, I've already ordered the Astroth, and every time I see pictures of that, it's like, yeah, I'm going to be ordering this one now, too. I guess at least we have until August for that, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We've got more pictures now of Gansalot, which each new picture that comes out of Gansalot pretty much cements that I'm going to get that kit, and it has been confirmed that Double Zeta 2 has a Rizel-based transformation.
And I was wrong. I remember how I was absolutely positive that it wasn't going to transform.
Oh, I thought you were saying it was going to definitely be a parts former.
No, I was saying it wasn't going to transform at all. It was going to be like the Lightning Zeta, where they just took out the transformation.
Looking at the transformation, it gets really beefy looking. I almost worry, like when I look at it, like obviously the head's being taken off, but I kind of look at it like, are we going to be taking more stuff off? Because it looks like it changes a lot.
Well, it's based off the Zeta 2, and the Zeta 2, if I recall correctly, most of the upper body is left aside in the transformation.
It is. There's with a lot of Zeta-based, like the Rizel, the Zeta Plus. You've got a torso that you build for the mobile suit mode, and then you've got a secondary piece that is the flight mode that you just parts form the other pieces onto.
And even then, with like the Zeta Plus and stuff, you're still left with like arms and a head off to the side.
Yeah. At the same time, we do also sometimes get the funny ones where like you look at it in one direction, it's like here's the Gundam face, and there's the Gundam chest, and there's his arms and hands just kind of sticking out.
Yep. Fortunately, those don't. Well, I guess those kind of pop up 50-50, but last one I can think of off the top of my head was the Gundam Air Master that was like that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess the Savior was too. Oh yes, and then there were those. What was it, like the Chaos and Calamity and all those ones from Seed that had like those weird half transformations where they kept their normal MS
Yes.
legs. Those were weird. Except for the Gaia Gundam, which just turned into a cat.
So what kind of projects are we working on?
Well, I finished the Zeta 2.0. I got some cement, so I was able to fix the V-fin, and that went fine. And I actually just finished filming the video review for it earlier, and of course that involved transforming it. And after I get this thing back in MS mode, I'm probably not touching it again, at least not to transform it, because, man, this thing, like, they did the best they could do, especially in 2005, but I really hope they do a revive.
I mean, I guess the final form of it as well is like really, really impressive because it very much does not just look like, hey, a Gundam turned into this when you look at it. Just
Oh, no,
like
not
how
at all.
complex everything goes.
Like, everything ends up somewhere completely different, and even though you can see, like, normally, like, the head and stuff underneath, the shield actually clips over it, so you can't see it at all. It pretty much completely seals up the undercarriage. The only thing there really is to see is there's kind of a bit of a snarl of just, like, gray connectors and hinges in the middle section of the jet, but it's not too noticeable.
So, I mean, I guess that's one thing where it sucks in a sense that it's so complicated, but at the same time, like looks-wise, it's the best transformation we have in some ways.
It is the best flight mode we've ever gotten on a model kit, I will say that for sure.
I actually am quite fond of the Delta Plus.
I've seen enough people build that and have it come out absolutely awful that I'm not touching that kit ever.
Well, I guess for projects,
like,
for me,
one thing, I'm just going to add one more thing that the Zeta 2.0 has that every Master Grade that transforms using that base should have, is that there's this little kind of hooked section on the front skirt that actually clips over the waist and holds the two halves from just spreading apart.
Mm-hmm.
And there certainly are kits in the Master Grade line that really could have benefited from using that.
Yeah, on the Brave Commander, like it looks like a horrible loose mess when you initially transform it, but it's got like 4 or 5 different areas where it clips together and holds completely solid. So,
oh yeah, that's like a thing that pretty much every part of the Zeta does. Like even after you swing the hips up, they've got these little hooks that clip into the side of the back, and then after that you like push the waist skirt down, and it like locks them in from the bottom. And once you have everything together, it's actually really, really solid.
So I've got 8 pieces left to put together, and then I'll actually have the Master Grade Rigazee actually put together.
Oh, that's cool. So that's how much parts forming does that thing have to it when you transform it?
0.
Oh, really? Okay.
It was given to me as a Christmas gift, but I've just been working on it very slowly. And as soon as I put it together, finish it up, I'll do a snapshot review of it. I just finished up the Ifrit, and as I was saying, Max, the Overflag showed up today.
Yep.
But tomorrow at lunch break, I am building that nanoblock Sazabi.
Oh, yes, the little Lego thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think the best thing is you put out your like birthday haul video like yesterday, the very day after that one comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And like I was saying earlier, like I've just kind of been working on the 1/100th Grimgird. I spent the time to go ahead and panel line everything on it before I cut it out, and I've been kind of slowly putting it together over the past few days. The frame is fully together. It looks really good. It's got all of those little white tubing lines on it and stuff. I think that those look really, really good on it. But I've just been putting on the red armor, and it's about halfway through that right now. And you were kind of really let down by the Gujin and the Gujin Rebake. And the Grimgird, though, looks like, so far it looks really good. It's really holds together really well. Like, the joints are a bit stiff, but I guess at least that means I know that it's not going to drop weapons. Though at the same time, it's not like it has giant heavy weapons. I guess it'll at least be like, age-proof.
Right. So, question for each of you. First of all, MaxDuo, what do you use to line your kits?
In the past, I was using what I had, because leftover stuff from like art courses, I had like micron markers and stuff. But I finally recently got some of the Gundam markers, like I got the extra fine tip ones.
So like the ones with the blue cap?
I got two of them actually. I got the like the extra fine ones,
Uh-huh.
and then I also got the pore type ones.
Okay.
Which I'm really liking the pore type ones, except there's the occasional spot where it can't do real good, like maybe it's too wide of a line, or it's kind of hard
Right.
to get to, and you definitely have to do more effort for cleaning up on those sometimes, because it's just you're touching a thick tip to the thing.
Right. Although I guess you just clean it off with like what, like rubbing alcohol or?
Yeah, I've got these high polymer erasers that I use for it.
Okay.
So I
So you
just,
can literally just erase it off with like an eraser?
yep, I leave it on there about a minute or so, and then I just kind of scrub it off, because I mean the eraser is not going inside of the lines, so it's just going to get everything outside of it.
Okay. So question for Dan. What are your initial thoughts on the E-Fleet having just built it?
It's only the second RE that I've built, but I love the line.
Yeah, the first one you built, the DJ and this, I'm definitely going to get those two at some point, for sure.
I really want to get my hands on the GPO4 and the Mark III before the Bawu comes out.
The thing with the Mark III is every time I look at it, I'm like, often I'll see a custom painted version, I'm like, oh wow, that actually looks really good. And then I'm like, maybe I'll get this. And then I look at the stock kit, and it's just such a drab gray color that it just really doesn't do the design justice. Because it's just such a dull gray, and it's the whole kit pretty much, and it just looks so boring, at least to me.
I really like the design, but I can see how definitely like really well built painted kits would kind of kill off that one, because I actually kind of like some of the plain gray kits sometimes, but I can see it getting bland.
Yeah, like I like the Zeta Plus and like how that looks, but the Mark II, I think it's the fact that it's like sort of a weird bluish gray ends up making it not even look like a kind of realistic military gray, and just kind of looks like just a weird color.
Well, I mean, technically, usually we have Gundams which are bright white, bright red, and bright blue with big yellow antennas.
Yeah, but that's realistic.
As the troops run out onto the battlefield in their like hot pink and orange outfits.
Yeah.
Hey, to go back to the IBO topic, it can be like that pirate guy that had the Gujin. You go out there wearing your colorful tank top and your like colorful clown hair and.
Yep.
And your tiger striped pants.
And make sure the leader of your squadron paints his suit bright red so they know to shoot him first.
Well, it's like with original Gundam, Char is always using red. Next season comes around, it's like, okay, there's a lot of red, so you have to change the color of your mobile suit, Char. And he's like, all right, I've got it. The next one you see is like bright, glittery gold.
Bright gold, yes. Although I think the gold did kind of have a purpose.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a little bit beam reflective.
Yeah, and of course there's the fact that you're in, space, so there's not a whole lot to camouflage against.
True, but he had to go with something bright and shiny.
Hey guys, they just posted pics of the Blast Impulse. Like the actual kit. They just posted pics.
Oh hey, so we complained about this last week when I decided to mumble to myself for 3 hours.
One question. Did they reuse the backpack from the no grade?
It actually looks brand new.
Yes!
Oh man, it does look really good though.
Okay, hang on. I'm going to see if it won't crash the call when I go look at it.
I hate you, Bandai. I don't like the Force Impulse one bit. Like in comparison to other similar things, so now I look at the Blast and it's like this is the only one I liked, and it looks really good.
Yeah.
Though I guess some of the white on it does kind of stand out a little blandly in the pictures now that I go down, but all the color looks really good.
Yeah. It dropped me out of the call.
Bandai. Huh?
No, you're still here.
Yeah, because I just logged back in. It dropped me out, so I switched back to here and came back in.
Well. So I don't know if you heard me. I was basically saying that I think the white on the kit looks it kind of sticks out a little weirdly and stuff, but all the color on it looks really good.
Okay.
Like I think it looks a lot better than the Force Impulse, but that might also be because I just don't like the Force Impulse that much.
I'll tell you what they really got right on this thing. They got the black right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow. Clear red effect parts for the lances.
So one of you guys post the pictures in the chat or something so I can see these? Because now I'm really curious to see how this looks.
I do know also the other thing. You guys kind of really like the sword or blade or whatever impulse.
Mm-hmm.
Sword impulse, yeah.
I feel like in general I didn't like anything of the impulse outside of the blast. So this being the first P-Bandai announcement for the Impulse is what hurts me and makes me upset the most. It's like, this was the only one I wanted. If they had posted
Oh wow,
this
that
other
looks
one,
really good. That
Yes.
looks really good.
which makes it hurt
Like,
even more.
Looking at I think the red rings around the top of like the backpack parts look like they're stickers.
I think they are.
Yeah, and the red around, pretty much all the red trim on the weapons look like it's stickers, but other than that, it looks really good. I just now noticed how little green there actually is on it. Like, it's mostly black. Like, I've always kind of thought of it as like the green version of the Force Impulse, but there's not a lot of green there.
No, the main body color is actually black, so...
It's got enough green to make me happy. Get
I'm
more
gonna
of these non-standard colored Gundams.
Guys, I'm going to call it. I'm going to have to get it.
Yeah, I was saying earlier it hurts me more that they did it, but I know it's going to hurt Dan's wallet more because he'll get it, and I will refuse to out of spite. I'll just be angry about it for forever.
I'll grab one if I see it for cheap enough to justify it, but I don't know. I'll probably stick with the Force Impulse.
Well, after that, I can't really think of anything else, so...
Well, I guess, like we said in the first episode, any questions, comments, or whatever people want us to address, go ahead and toss those in the comments.
Leave
Yep.
us comments. We love reading them, love getting to know you guys.
Oh, absolutely.
And one thing I've been meaning to do is I'm going to try to look into also kind of making a quick and easy like RSS blog or whatever to toss this up in as well for anyone that might want to, like they could go to a video and be like, I don't have time for this. They could click that to be able to, I don't know, take it on the road or whatever.
Yeah, it's like an audio format, because, that is kind of what a podcast is.
Yes.
Technically, we're not even a podcast yet, because we don't have an audio-only option. We're just like a YouTube show with no picture.
Oh, that's the worst thing about that last time. I was getting all the pictures labeled, then put them in order and everything, and it was real late, and I was like, okay, we're going to do the initial editing, get rid of the first few minutes of junk, get rid of the retake we did, and put it in. Like, all right, here's my voice.
And nothing else.
Maybe they didn't speak at this point. Wait a second. Okay, let's skip 5 minutes ahead. Silence. Oh, God, no. No!
Yes, that was quite the crushing blow.
Everybody missed Dan going through his list, and Channel 2S was kind of like, no, I don't like that one, I don't like that one.
I consistently negated like every single one of them.
It was definitely the most animated conversation we have had.
Oh yeah, totally.
I guess the point to draw away from it, though, was the realization that 2S does not like the master grade for the sake of master grades. Like, he would love a really good like revive quality thing versus one with an inner frame, which I can't also kind of get, because sometimes I am excited to just get this done. I don't need the thing.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it, like you said, basically, I don't really see the need for master grades for the sake of having master grades. Like, if it's got a good high grade, I could really care less what there is to the 1/100 scale.
I would like to have a master grade of my absolute favorites, and everything else I would really like to have an option of a good 1/100th. Because sometimes I do really hate, like, okay, this thing has a tiny, like, half centimeter size face, and, that stuff.
Right.
Like, in my mind, generally bigger is better, which definitely was speaking of how we want IBO to kind of revive the Gundam craze a bit. Back in the 90s, building the Gundam Wing models, the 1144s were the garbage no-grade builds, where everything just had a white piece for a beam, whatever. Mm-hmm. And then the 1/100th were the quality ones. I get out for several years and I build a high grade. It's like, oh my god, these are a million times better than that crap back there.
They're actually good.
Yeah, they're not garbage.
Although what's funny and what really bugs me is that, so like all the no grades and even some of the high grades into like the mid-2000s use like those white toothpick beam sabers.
Yes.
Oh. Well, the S Gundam from like 1986 has clear blue beam sabers, and it's a 1/144th scale.
Yeah, it's like when I built my Gaplant. It's like, oh look, here's these giant green toothpicks.
Mm-hmm.
Or then the thing I really liked was I got Dan the Akatsuki.
The Shiranui.
Shiranui, yeah.
Yeah. So I got him that one. And then in his video, he's like, "Oh my god, it's got a blue beam saber." And the only reason that came about was that Bandai was being cheap and didn't want to use multiple colors of clear plastic.
Yes, they unintentionally gave it a blue beam saber.
Yeah.
I think they did that with the high grade Infinite Justice as well. Like all the beam parts on it are blue. All of them.
That doesn't. That's really weird.
Yeah.
Red Gundam, blue beam sabers.
Yep. What we really don't see a lot of is orange beam sabers, and that's kind of a problem because the high-grade Reborns Gundam is supposed to have dual orange beam sabers, and you get one blade, and it's clear. And literally no other mobile suit comes with orange beam sabers. So you don't really have a lot of options.
My brave commander came with a white toothpick, and I spray painted it with, or not spray painted, I sprayed like lacquer or something onto it, and then poured orange glitter on it.
Oh, really?
It looks like a Cheeto, though, sadly.
Wow, that's certainly something. So you use lacquer and glitter to make a beam saber.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if it was lacquer. It was some kind of clear spray, and the idea was basically spray it and then dump glitter on while it's sticky.
Wow.
I mean, I found some really good things that people on Reddit did with this. Like, I think a guy put this on his like destroy mode unicorn. It definitely did not turn out super great with this, but maybe it's because it had a bigger, larger area to cover. Again, it looks like a big Cheeto.
Yep.
I'm staring at it right now.
Only kid I've come across building that had a toothpick beam saber other than the infamous Tallgeese 3 was the high-grade Astria Type S, and what I did was, because it comes with, since it's like kind of the updated version of the XE, it does come with, you know, real beam sabers in addition to the toothpick, just because the toothpick happened to be on the A runner or whatever, so they just threw it in anyway. So what I did was I just cut it off like maybe an inch up from the handle at like kind of an angle and just painted it silver and just turned it into like a physical knife. And that actually came out pretty well.
There was one other like interesting guide I saw a while back. They never showed you how to make use of this, but they took like clear frames, clear runners or glittery runners, broke them into tiny pieces, tossed them into a jar filled with plastic cement, and just melted it down and made a coating for the beam saber. They never said how to use this. And I'm not sure how much I would want to do it because it's like, well, is this just going to melt the beam saber off, or can we get like proof of this working?
The reason you do that is that the idea behind that is if you keep the runners for the kit and you chop up those little pieces of runner and you mix it with plastic cement, you now have a putty for like filling in like nub marks and stuff that is the exact same color as the plastic, and that's kind of the idea behind it. Yeah, so you don't have to like mix pigments or whatever.
But this one was specifically for like clear beam sabers and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know how. Like, I would hate for it to melt the beam saber, but if it worked, like that would be really great for some things.
Yeah. And speaking of cement,
my celestial being action base, I kept that to do this with someday maybe.
What's really weird is, so like Max, have you worked with like plastic cement at all?
I have.
Okay. Is it just me, or does it smell slightly like sour apples?
I usually just aim a fan at myself because I'm like, I know I'm not supposed to breathe this. I mean, I
know I'm not either, but like I opened it and like there was a definite smell of sour apples, and like I don't really want to smell it again to reconfirm it, just because I don't want to kill any more brain cells. But I'm pretty sure I smelled sour apples.
I do remember you mentioning that, and you were trying to figure out if it was specifically that brand or just that in general.
Could have been.
All right, guys, I'm gonna have
Could be the smell of just brain cells burning away.
You're gonna have to cut short the pro tip hour.
Yes.
As we keep extending the podcast.
Yeah, I'm about to drop anyways, so.
That's okay. I have like 3 videos to edit together and record tonight, so up to 1. Okay, so good night, guys. I'm Second Soundwave, and I'll see you next time.
This is Dan the Plastic Man signing off, and I'll see you guys at the next one. Bye-bye.
This is MaxDuo. Hide your podcast. Protect them from me. Goodbye.